Okay, when it comes to crispy summer berry tart awesomeness, maybe custardy, throw that in there, the mix, crunchy, crunchuity, tart sweet. Does this look like the apogee, the zenith of summer berry tart awesomeness? Yeah, well, I get it. It's just a bite on the end of a fork. But what if I told you that it was born of this piece of crusty, delicious, insane awesomeness? Yeah, now I have your attention. The first thing that we want to do is you can take a springform pan, a tart pan, a pie tin. In this case, I have a 8-inch baking round. All the same, basically, right? And I have some melted butter here in a bowl. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to butter very well the inside of this pan. And the reason that I want to do that, and you can use your fingers with softened butter, this recipe calls for melted butter to drizzle over the filo dough once it's done baking before we add our custard and fruit. So I just want to add a healthy amount of butter to the bottom because that's going to prevent the pastry from sticking. Step 2 is I take my supermarket filo dough. If you have access to a Greek bakery or similar, I would encourage you to use their filo dough if they sell it fresh or frozen. I actually have 2 sheets here. I grabbed 2 sheets at the same time. And all I want to do is I want to fold this what's called accordion style. So I just scrunch this together like this, and then I want to make a pinwheel. And I just do this so it's as high as my scrunching is, and I place that in the center of my tin. And it sticks together because of the butter on the bottom of the tin. And then if you've used 2 sheets to begin with, I would encourage you to use 2 sheets as you move forward every single time. And I'm going to move this, well, you can see it here. And I'm just going to wrap this pretty tightly around that center column. And I'm just going to repeat this ad infinitum around the center here. I mean, you can just see this is about the easiest technique that you could possibly imagine. All right, I think we've done a great job. And as you can see here, the top is rustic and crumply, okay? So let's stick our filo to the side. Next thing we wanna do is we wanna take our 1/4 cup of melted butter and equally brush this all around the tart, or what will be the tart. Right now it's just filo dough scrunched together. And there's butter on the bottom, and you can see I have about 1.5 inch wide brush, silicone, which I happen to really like because it's so much easier to clean. And we can always put more butter where we think it needs it. I don't know, that looks pretty darn good to me. Then I want to take, I don't know, teaspoon, maybe 2 of sugar, white or brown, doesn't really matter. I just want to sprinkle that over the top here. This is going to help it caramelize. And then this, goes into a 375-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes until golden brown. Let's do it. 375 convection. Middle of the oven. Set it, and then sort of forget it. I like to put a timer on things because I get distracted. Doing emails, walking dogs. Let's put that at 23 minutes and let it rip. All right, we'll come back in a little bit and see how that goes. So while that's baking, let's make a very simple custard. Get that piece of shell out of there. 1 large egg. 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of sugar. A little bit of cream. A little bit of homemade vanilla. Now, we have this recipe on my website. It's nothing that I invented. You can see all those little seeds rolling around in there, and when I turn it upside down or open it, well, it's pretty full. I just have vanilla pods in there, and I have 12-year-old aged rum. And every time I get to about halfway down through the canister, I put a few more vanilla pods, halved and scraped in there, seeds and all, seeds and beans, and top it off with more rum. So some of the stuff has been in there for a couple of years now, and I have some I keep in a little jar this is the last of a, 3 or 4 year old batch. I like vanilla. I'm gonna put a nice little drizzle in there. We're just gonna beat that together until the sugar is dissolved. And this is our custard. And we're gonna drizzle that over the baked tart crisp. Top it with berries. And bake it as soon as it comes out. So we're still waiting. Be ready in a sec. So after 19, 20 minutes, this is how it looks. And if I just shake it from side to side, it shrunk just, a millimeter, and I can feel it. It'll release beautifully. We're gonna let this cool for about 25, 30 minutes. It'll still be warm, and then we're gonna drizzle it with the raw custard, stud it with the fruit, and bake it a second time. The tart has cooled, and what I wanna do is I wanna sort of work from the middle in a spiral shape. I don't wanna put a lot of custard on the edge. We want some. We don't want tons. So after that initial coating, and by the way, gravity is gravity. The custard's gonna go where the custard's gonna go, right? And then I start building my tart with the fruit. And I like the raspberries. Ideally, if you have a lot that are fresh and beautiful like these from the local farm stand, to let them sort of sit upright. And the reason is I just think the final look is better. But if you're using even frozen broken ones, don't worry about it. The important thing is to make this tart. And I want to space them out in such a way. I really do want a good amount of raspberry in there. I'm more of a raspberry guy at the end of the day than a blueberry guy. But let's hope I don't knock any over. We'll do some blueberry in there as well. You can see how simply this comes together. It really is one of the easiest tart recipes that I've ever come across. I was on Instagram the other night, and I saw some people who were making this, and they were referencing a blogger creator as having developed this technique. But this is also a very traditional Greek, Turkish, Eastern Med sort of recipe in a lot of ways. When I started to look it up on cookbooks and stuff, this style came up a lot. And that's about it. You don't want to cover it. Ooh, there's one of those giant apple-sized blueberries. There you go. You still want to see pastry. You still want to see your ribbons of custard. You want to see the fruit. You want air between them so the fruit dries out, because we're going to bake this for another 25-30 minutes in the oven at 375. Then we're going to let it cool till warm. Oh, I forgot the most important thing. You do want to sort of sprinkle, and you could use a little squeeze bottle for this and actually cover the fruit itself. You want to take the last couple tablespoons of your custard and just kind of moisten the top of all of those berries. Now we're ready for the oven. Okay, this just came out of the oven. Resist the temptation to just have at it with a spoon. Although, if you just want to put this down in front of 3 or 4 other people with a big pint of fresh vanilla bean ice cream, a couple of spoons, and just go absolutely bonkers on it, who am I to deny you that pleasure? But let's take a look at this a little more up close and personal, shall we? So I placed this on a trivet, and I'm going to let this cool for a little bit. You want to resist the temptation to tuck into it right away. The custard and the roasted fruit needs to set a little bit. So, give it 15, 20, 30 minutes and serve it warm. I will say that while it is in front of you, if you had to do one thing, because you just couldn't resist playing with it, take a small butter knife or cheese knife, just go around the edge, just to loosen it now while it's warm. That really helps. And I'm just kind of slightly pushing in. That's all. Just that little move really helps. We'll come back in half an hour and tuck into this baby. If you were going to season it with confectioner's sugar, or maybe drizzle some honey on it or something else, which I personally don't think it needs, but I'm not going to yuck on your yum, don't do it until it's cooled, right? It's just going to melt in there, or the honey will just run away because this tart is hot. Okay, so this is cooled, and we set that on a plate like so. Crispy, custardy, sweet tart, but not too sweet. This is the summer berry crisp of your dreams, and it is so easy to make. It is foolproof. The only thing left to do is to listen to that noise. Not of my computer going off with an email coming in, but that crispy, crunchity edge and crust, because of course the center has gotten super duper crusty, custardy, so it's kind of softened up a little bit. How about them apples? So with no other adornment, no ice cream, no honey, no half sour cream, half maple syrup. Oh yeah, that's good. mean, if I had to give myself one critique, I wound it so tight I didn't get enough custard. I mean, it's an A-. I would have been looser with my construction at the beginning with my accordion folds, but man, oh man, is that delicious. Get on this. You'll be happy. You'll thank me.